more on drugs, more on drugs, not war on drugs. War is over if you want it or not. More, war, more war. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to chant out for more war. Myself. Forgive myself that I've allowed myself to war myself. More on drugs. Sympathy, self-pity. That's what drug addiction represents. To those who know. Drug addiction. Going seeking help for drug addiction was the second mistake I made. The first, getting addicted, or allowing my body to become dependent upon heroin to function. Full stop. So what you find anyway is you got someone who's a heroin addict. When they go seeking assistance, they have to go along stating they want assistance, and assistance is generally perceived as removing the problem being the dependency upon heroin, when in reality I think you would find that if you allowed them to be honest, they would tell you, if you can get me a clean supply, that I don't have to go and beg and steal and borrow to fund. That is what they are really seeking as a solution to that problem. It's about stability at that point, and a very complex, complicated, intricate situation and circumstance one would find themselves in. I know heroin addicts that you ain't going to cure them because they've been poisoning themselves for 10, 15 years, and that's one of the I can't think of the word, it's one of the detoxing my body from the toxins, and not the toxins of the drugs actually, as much. Well, how could I know? I don't know for sure, though. As well as the toxins from the drugs, the toxins from the whatever the money makers mix the drugs with to make more money from them. Removing that from my body, well, that's been I was going to say it's been as big an ordeal as getting off heroin, or coming off heroin. If anyone wants to know what hell could be like, if hell existed, and I don't believe that it actually does as such, in the Christian sense, if any sense at all, well, that would represent it. No doubt about it. And the point being, Anthony, was that if you allowed your drug addicts to be honest, they're not necessarily looking for a cure, they're looking for a clean supply. I know you won't let them have a clean supply because, well, I won't accuse you of being petty-minded, spiteful, horrendous humans who want suffering to exist so that you can justify your illusions of charity to relieve the suffering of those who suffer as a consequence of your participation in the disgusting thing you call life, where you work for fake money, working yourselves to death, so a man who does less and enjoys his life more can get more than you. That's the reason I got addicted to heroin, actually. Avoiding work, it seemed a good idea at the time, and as I said, I don't have any regrets though. I wouldn't do it again, actually. It's one of the things I wouldn't do again. And knowing what I know now, as usual, it's one of those, if I only knew what I know now then. Though I have no regrets. Most heroin addicts, those who are looking for folk to live a constructive life, you give a heroin addict a clean supply before he's destroyed himself with the dirt in the street supply that he finds himself dependent upon. Can lead a constructive life. It's proven, they know it already. I mean, the farce goes a lot deeper, doesn't it? The Taliban, apparently I wasn't there, so I couldn't verify it though. It was in the papers, so it must be true. Reduce the opium crop to virtually zero, so I don't think you could ever get anything down to zero that's existent in such circumstances. And the Americans wanted an oil pipeline that they didn't want to pay for, and so fulfilling a prophecy or two and stealing a lot of gold in the process, apparently, though the person I heard that of had his own agenda as well. The Americans invaded, and some might say so they could replant the opium crop, so they could then pretend to be removing it, because pretense is a word that covers human expression currently, and has done for a long time, no doubt. Heroin addicts, there's no hope for them unless you deal with it early. You can deal with it later. I'm dealing with it, I'm still dealing with it. Highly unlikely to use ever again. Don't never say never is a thing to say in such circumstances. I very doubt. I doubt very much I'll use ever again. It's poison to me, you know, it makes me ill. Makes me ill. That's the thing with heroin. You're ill, and you're going to be seriously ill for a minimum of 5 days just to clear the dependency on the poison. And so you're ill, and you're going to be seriously ill for 5 days. And the thing that's made you ill can make you better. It's quite a paradoxical quandary one finds oneself in. And what I found was my subconscious mind, perhaps, or some subconscious aspect of myself, I stopped and started that many times. It knew what was coming and feared having to go through the ordeal, having gone through the ordeal so many times. Once it's been through the ordeal, that never stopped me from returning to it. Though some compartmentalisation going on there. I was looking up the word id yesterday and find there's the ego, the super ego, and the id, possibly. Gets into subconscious, conscious and unconscious minds, and the mind in general, and the creation of entities by the mind, ourselves, by participating in thought, fantasy, and there's such thing. We creators, you know, it's like a sort of realisation last night, was it, in this philosophy discussions I've been in, they sort of churning out, Epictetus said this and somebody else said that, and they sort of, you got to be careful what you believe, because by believing it, you're creative. It's sort of, it's like giving it it's like giving your creative, it's like giving your creative nature a template. This is how it is, and that's how it will be, because that is how it is. Whereas if you approached it differently, like Socrates tried to teach Plato, don't write it down, because if you write it down, that's how it will be, and it will never be any different than the way you wrote it down. Plato knew better. Or he needed some bread, man. Or cocaine addicts. There's no cure for cocaine addiction other than stopping taking it, and there is no withdrawals from it. Very compulsive cocaine. Compulsion, that's what greed is. Greed isn't human nature, compulsion might be. Might be human nature. Human nature is anything humans decide is human nature. I've flunked this one as well, haven't I? It's just not how I wanted to make the video. I wanted it to be concise, coherent, unlikely. Though apparently you can't have a conversation, you can't speak out loud about it being audible somewhere else to those who have the audacity, who have the equipment to tune into such things. I was going to say something else along those lines. Yeah, most people who are concerned about it being, I mean, I'm not being microchipped myself, ever, under my skin as such, though I ain't concerned about being followed or watched. Well, I'm only concerned now is about those who are watching, and are they getting the right psychiatric reviews regularly, because it sure must do something to your fucking... There's an emergency. It's always an emergency, though it's never one that... That's about drugs, that one.